I mean, I just had an electricity client, so I got really deep into all this. But I never really thought about the fact that electricity only works when the current is connected. Kind of like we only work when we're connected with our networks, with people who lift us up, who motivate us and keep us going. Susanna, let's go ahead and take it. I'll get going. Okay. Cool. We are good. We will send the video out. Susanna created. Does anyone remember the Bill Nye the Science Guy intro? Bill. Well, this one goes stack. Pretty fantastic. All right, here we go. So let's go ahead and get going. I'm not sure if it turned on. I have no clue if the live streamers can hear me at all. We'll get that one sorted in a second. I have a question. How do you get a Clydesdale, one of the most famous animals on the planet, thank you, Budweiser, to pull almost 7 times its body weight? Clydesdales weigh 1,700 pounds on average, by the way. So when you start adding that up, almost 7 times its body weight, that's pretty intense. The good news is Clydesdales love to pull. That's what they were bred for, it's what they were made for, it's what they do, and they will pull on average about 5,000 pounds. Now for those of you who are good at math, unlike me, you're sitting there going, that's still not almost 7 times its body weight. If you want to really get a Clydesdale to really pull, you have to hook it up, but hooking it up with a partner helps. When you get another Clydesdale, you hook them up together, they will pull not 10,000 pounds on average, but 12,000 pounds, which is great, right? 2 horses, we're now getting 20% more performance, but it's not 7 times its body weight. No, if you want to get a Clydesdale to pull a massive, truly massive amount of weight, because trust me, if you have ever looked up the nose of a Clydesdale, you know you're not going to do a damn thing it doesn't want to do. Can we get that on screen real quick? Has anyone ever read the Clydesdales, by the way?
Yes.
It's literally up their nose, and I'm not exactly short. But what happens when you connect a Clydesdale with a team member that it knows, that it trusts, when you give it a driver that it knows and it trusts, they start to produce exponential results, pulling up to 18,000 pounds as a pair. The world record is 2 Clydesdales pulling 22,000 pounds back in the early 1900s. 2 horses pulling almost double what the average team will pull. Because they're what? Connected. It's the difference. Now, I'm a big believer that telling you something and showing you something, having you experience it, makes all the difference. And Southwest School of Arts threatened to throw me out if I tried to bring a Clydesdale on the antique wood floors. So, what I'm going to do with you this morning is I want to show you the difference between pulling 12,000 pounds and pulling 22,000 pounds, what that feels like. And I'm going to use something I am allowed to bring into the Southwest School of Arts, my violin. The piece I want to play for you this morning, we can go back to the regular background, by the way. The piece I want to play for you this morning is a piece called Humoresque by Anton Dvorak. Now, what's interesting about this particular piece is that it actually was not created for the violin. It was originally composed for the piano. That's what Dvorak does. He composes for the piano, which is great. It was taken quite a while ago, and it was transcribed and turned into a piece for the violin by a gentleman named Suzuki. Does that ring a bell for anyone other than the motorcycles? Although seriously, does anyone think it's weird that both Suzuki and Yamaha both create keyboards and motorcycles? Is there a connection I'm missing there? I don't get it, but for whatever reason, Suzuki takes this piece. He is also the author of what is widely regarded as one of the foundational lesson series for stringed instruments. So he takes this piece, he turns it into a piece to learn as a student on the violin. So when my instructor came to me and said, Stephanie, I want you to learn this piece called Humoresque, I, dutiful student, went and looked it up online and said, no, it sounds terrible. She said, well, here's why it sounds terrible. You're listening to students play it. And I said, okay, that's probably fair, but I still don't know. She goes, trust me, let's learn the piece. And what was really interesting, I truly do love this piece. It has a little bit of everything. I feel like it's kind of funny. As I was preparing for the speech, I was like, what do I liken this song to? It's like Lord of the Rings, right? Because you have a really, really little happy little hobbit opening. And then you've got the sweeping vistas. And then I realized it's actually much more like last year was for me. Started off pretty fantastic, moved really well. And then for those of you who don't know, in the span of about 4 months, we had like 6 or 7 major catastrophes happen personally, culminating with having to amputate our dog's left leg, and my husband had been in the hospital with a heart attack. So that would be this part of the song. It gets intense, and it moves you through a lot of emotions very quickly. And so when I went to my instructor and said, I like some of the pieces of the song, but I'm a little bit frustrated with it, she said, you know what the issue is? It's because you're listening to students play it, and there's 2 major mistakes these students are making. First and foremost is their tempo is all over the place. They're playing the first portion of the song at one tempo. And then they're going into a completely different tempo. She was like, it feels like 2 different songs. I was like, it does feel like 2 different songs. She said, you're going to have to get consistent with your tempo, which is about where I started to cry. Because as a musician, if you've ever been told you have to work on tempo, what they're really telling you is you have to get out that little thing we've seen in the movies that goes tick, 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 tick. It is the most obnoxious thing to play along with. It's called a metronome. And I, being Stephanie, said, I'm not playing along with a metronome. And she said, well, I'm not sure how you're going to fix this then. And I said, I'm going to dig in. I want to really understand tempo. I want to understand tempo, how it works, why it works. And I started to learn there's 2 pieces to tempo, which is really interesting to me. If you heard me talk with the violin last year, I mentioned how frequently the violin ends up teaching me something about business. And this was one of those moments because I realized that there are 2 pieces to tempo. There is the beat we're all familiar with. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But more importantly, there is the space between the beat. And where we start to screw up as musicians is when we start to lose sight of the space between the beat. We get caught up on the drive. Go, 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 go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we forget to take space. We forget to let the audience take space. And this is where I started to have an aha moment as a business owner because I realized I do the same thing in business. I get going and I'm focused on the drive and I forget to take space. I forget to let my team take space. And you end up in this frantic, flurried, frenetic zone that, quite frankly, isn't good music. So, thank you. Y'all can be engaging, by the way. I am all down for the hallelujahs, amens. I mean, but we do, and I do this all the time. And so what was the best part for me was realizing if I want to really make this piece connect, I don't want to be broken into multiple pieces, I have to get clear on my tempo. And this doesn't mean that my tempo has to stay the same through the whole song. I can change the tempo a little bit. You'll see there's actually a few moments will make decisions as the artist to change the tempo. But here's the key. I, as the musician, have to communicate that to you as the audience. Because if I go from da, 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 you get left behind. There has to be something that pulls you in with me. You know what she said to me? She said, what's most important, Stephanie, is that you have to know what you want that tempo to be. You have to draw it out. The beautiful thing about the violin is that it sings. The terrible thing about the violin is that it doesn't actually have words. So it can't sit here and be like, hey, Terry, I'm going to slow down now. It has to tell you without telling you in so many words. And the only way that happens is when I, as the musician, know it's coming and communicate it in advance. Similarly, the only way that happens in business is when I, as the leader, know what I want my team to feel and to experience, and I communicate that in advance. Had a conversation last year with a business owner. They were talking to me about how frustrated they were that their team just did not get it, and they are trying to take everyone here and is like over there. And they're like, what is wrong with y'all? I looked at this person and I said, question, when was the last time you told your team this is the direction you're going? And she goes, I think I do that. I said, well, if the answer is I think I do that, the answer is probably you're not. I said, do me a favor. Next team meeting. What's that? No, a team meeting. You need to call these consistently. Have these meetings with your team. Have a team meeting, and I want you to tell them the goal of the business. Where are you going? This person calls me up the next week and goes, OMG, Steph. I told them the plan. They started coming up with their own ideas for how to get there. We're all going the same direction. I said, are you kidding? It's amazing how well communication works. But it has to be there. And I, as the musician and as the leader, have to make that decision, have to make it clear. Now, the second thing that my instructor told me, she said, the other piece you really don't like about listening to these students is they're playing a very simplified version of the piece. If you listen to it on the piano, it's quite complex. It's got a lot going on. But when you listen to the violin, it's pretty straightforward. There's some fun stuff happening, but it's pretty basic. She said, what you as the violinist have the choice to do is to add the ornamentation that will communicate what you want to communicate. On the violin, we have loads of ornamentation to choose from. We have the one everyone knows, the vibrato. That little doo. We have this thing called a mordant. We have a trill, which is just a lot of mordants in a row. We also have something called dynamics. We can get louder. We can get softer. But once again, her point was you have to understand what you're trying to communicate, and you have to make those decisions in advance because, once again, the beautiful part of the violin comes into play. It sings without words. You have to know what you want to communicate to your audience and make the decisions on how to decorate your piece to get that across. And I had another aha moment, because how often in business are we just going and we don't quite have time? We're so busy doing stuff, we don't have time to tell the team everything. We have to consistently communicate the same message, the same emotional drive to them. And the way we do that is by understanding where we're going and making conscious decisions about how we're going to live our life that will align with that consistently for our team. And what was really interesting was, as I started to get these two pieces together, the tempo and the ornamentation, the song started to come together beautifully. And we worked out quite a bit of fun ornamentation that hopefully will it elevates the entire piece. It is incredible. I hope you will join me on this journey through Dvorak's humorous. importance to the piece you choose to play, the business you choose to run. What matters more is your connection to the tempo, the drive, but also the rest. The ornamentation, the vision you have that you're looking to communicate. And if I can tell you guys, there is something incredibly powerful about listening to the music, understanding what's going on, but beyond that, being part of making the music, connecting with the music. And so what I would like to do, some of you may have heard, Susanna and I had my sister, our technical director, had our very first custom composition together. And it's about time for Susanna to come join me on the keyboard. And we are going to play the piece we composed specifically for this morning. If she comes, she's coming. All right. But to do this, I need y'all's help. We're a little lopsided. This side of the room's a little light. Not sure how y'all pulled that off. But here's what we're going to do. Everyone from LaToya over. Okay? Y'all are the awesomes. Everyone from Amy over. Y'all are the amazings, but don't tell the awesomes. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I said there's two things you have to know to really make a piece, and I want you to connect. I want you to feel what it's like to be part of making the music. So we need to set, what's the first thing we need to set? The tempo. Thank you, the tempo. So let's do, well, in order to set the tempo, we should probably set the goal. So the goal is to have fun, by the way. Some of y'all are stressing, freaking out. She's gonna make me make music. Does she know I have no sense of rhythm? This dropped on my head as a child. Wait, that was Courtney. She turned out amazing. Okay. We actually had this whole conversation last night. It's a real thing. You should ask her. But that said, let's set a tempo. What do you think? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's fast. Good. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Everyone from LaToya over, y'all are the what? The awesomes. So the awesomes, what I need you to do is on the odd beats. 1 and 3, for those of you who are not math majors. Okay? Odd beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. All right, good. Okay. All right. Got it? What action are you doing? Stomping on which beats? Odd. 1 and 3. Okay, remember that because now it's about to get complicated. My amazings. You, on the even beats, are going to clap. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Please hit your hands, not your arm, because. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's try and get everyone together here.
Steph, I just have to say, you're really excited, and you're going a little fast.
Am I going
You're going a little fast for me.
We've been having arguments about this all week about how fast y'all can go. So, just saying. All right, what's our tempo? I'm going to let this is clearly not Steph's favorite part of music.
Hold on.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, Okay, y'all are perfect. However, I just figured out what we need.
Oh, the thing we've been trying to figure out for like 2 weeks?
We felt like this song was missing. I was watching some Saturday Night Live last night, just some old ones, and I think what this song needs is a cowbell.
What?
Did anyone bring a cowbell? What? Courtney, you brought a cowbell to the Grow retreat.
We are in Texas.
All right, well, come on. Y'all, let's give her a big round of applause. Courtney, here is my fellow sister band.
You've really been waiting a while for this, haven't you?
They never invited me to this.
I mean, that's not true.
It's because I was trapped in my head.
Or is it? We played a round of Two Truths and a Lie. And if you are curious, one of Courtney's truths is that she was dropped on her as a child. All right. So, Maestro, would you give us the tempo so I don't speed us up or slow us down? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Seen Saturday Night Live? Okay. So what I'm thinking is yes, Brian's got it. I want more cowbell. You have a lot of space for it.
Are you sure?
Yes. Give us the Courtney Cobb cowbell experience. You ready? All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, just like that. I mean, you can scale it back up. Perfect. Ready? Y'all ready? Ready? Awesomes, are you ready? Amazing. You got to be louder than them. You ready? All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Making the music, yes or yes? You connect. Courtney's like, yes. You connect. It's incredible. It is incredible. So, do me a favor. Turn to the Clydesdale next to you and tell him, hello. Turn to the Clydesdale on the other side and say, you're shorter than I thought you'd be. Oh, thank you, Miss Courtney. For for the next 2 days, we are here together to work together, to team up, to support each other, to create connection, to help you connect departments, or in certain people's who are crazy enough to run multiple companies at the same time, connect your multiple companies, to connect with your team, to connect with yourself, most importantly, to connect or reconnect with the vision of what your business is capable of being and of doing, because you guys know I get so passionate about the potential, the capability small business owners have. We change the world, yes or yes. We are incredible. We are the largest employers in the US. We give people a reason to come in. Y'all know at my corporate job, I drove home in tears more often than I did. And I said, I will never create a culture that makes that happen. Now I have a culture where certain team members, not to be named, Courtney, wake up at 2 a.m. and start sending me messages because they're so excited about the project they're working on.
It's true.
It is true. And that makes me so happy to know that I am improving the lives of those around me. Not just mine, not just my team, but through you, your teams. We have represented here hundreds and hundreds of employees across the US and on the live stream that we are helping create connection. We are powerful. We move mountains. Welcome to the Grow2022.